on here for a few minutes with Coach Casey Fair, who gets to spend a lot of time with pitchers at the collegiate level, high school level, and youth level. And one of the topics, Coach Casey, you and I have talked about the changeup, and I've had the opportunity to be in a dugout with you and be in the bullpen with you and coach with you. And I know the changeup is a pitch that becomes increasingly important as a pitcher gets older, but maybe is just not is maybe undertrained is what I've heard you say. So share with us your thoughts on the changeup.
Yeah, it's a great point, and I know I've talked about this a lot, and really myself, I've learned way more about this over the last couple of years. This is something that my knowledge has increased on, and I really didn't put too much thought in, 2, 3 years ago. The importance of the changeup for especially a high school and a collegiate athlete is immense. We know just from coaching college athletes that the changeup is utilized often at the next level because we see velocity increase and we want to shape a pitch as close to that fastball as possible. And the changeup does that. So it's harder to pick up. It's easier to mirror off of your fastball. But with a lot of kids, especially in high school and the youth level, it's a tough pitch to master. It's a tough pitch because you're actually adding the extra finger on, which becomes uncomfortable. So usually kids scrap it early. They go for the spin, they go for the breaker. And as a high school pitcher, it's easy to do that because if you have two, what you would say maybe plus pitches, you're going to get 99% of hitters out, right? If you have a decent fastball and a decent breaking ball that you can throw in the zone at will, then you're going to get 99% of the hitters out. The problem is when they get to that next level, two decent pitches is not going to equate to as many wins or as much success that you want it to. So developing that third pitch, especially the changeup to play it off the fastball, is important. We see a lot of success with it. We see a lot of weak contact with it. We see a lot of swings and misses with it. And really, like I said, I just don't think that we teach it enough because we don't need to.
Yeah.
It's not really a fault of anybody's. It's just the product of the environment. You go out there and you run a pitcher out there and he throws fastball slider and he goes a complete game shutout. Well, what do we need to change up for? I get that, but looking one step ahead into the future is definitely important. So I think teaching the changeup more often to high school kids is important.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the comment you made there about kind of mimicking the fastball. So, we know that and we see velocity numbers increasing, whether it's at the high school level or going to club tournaments. We're seeing, college. I mean, we're seeing some of the fastest pitches in the game are being thrown now. So I like that concept of the changeup mimics the fastball. So that's a good pitch to have in your arsenal. Can you kind of elaborate on that?
Yeah, and kind of going back to a conversation we had on technology and what that allows you to see is spin efficiencies on fastballs and spin efficiencies on changeups are very similar, right? And that's not the same for a curveball or a slider.
Yeah.
So the backspin on the baseball is what gives it that mimic look. So the changeup and the fastball, seem very similar, and then the bottom kind of drops out at the end, or maybe it's going to have a lot of arm side run, or depending on the pitchers, depending on the shape. But that spin, that backspin that the ball is going to have, that's what mirrors the pitch. That's what makes it difficult for hitters to pick up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, definitely. From a hitting coach perspective, the changeup is one of the tough ones to hit. Picking up when you talk about the breaker, we're talking about finding tells. We're talking about triggering something in our brain off the pitcher's body because the body looks different or the release looks different. And exactly what you're saying is that if a pitcher can, release something that looks the same, now we just got to hope that our hitters have incredible control, right? Incredible body control to be able to adjust kind of on the fly. So I get, if you tell me that a pitcher's got a good off-speed pitch, a good changeup, I'm a little nervous for our hitters in that day. And I think that that's what you see at college. And you've told me, you've talked to me about how college coaches like to recruit pitchers that have good changeups.
Yeah. And then the biggest reason, like I said, that people go away from it and they don't utilize it is one, they don't need to, or two, they don't have a very good one because they're uncomfortable with it.
Yeah.
And most of the time they get uncomfortable with it because of that added extra finger When you add that extra finger, it feels like the ball's too deep in your hand. You don't know how to play it. You know the changeup is supposed to be softer, but you're not really sure how it's supposed to break. So you naturally try to just throw it softer. So for pitchers who maybe struggle with that, my advice to them would be, and how we would develop the changeup is, one, yes, play around with the grips. Play around with the grips that you find comfortable. Two, hold it loose. We see changeups getting choked more often, so pitchers hold it too deep or too tight in the hand. So play around with grips, hold it loose. Yes, get on technology because it will tell you exactly what you need to, what you may not be able to see. Um, the next one, throw it hard. That's a common mistake that we see,
Yeah.
is that pitchers get a little pushy with their changeup and they try to guide it because they're trying to make it slower and get it in the zone. You're taking all the mystery of the pitch away, right?
Yeah.
To tell the hitter can tell that you're slowing your body down. So throwing it with intent. And lastly, when you're trying to train a changeup, actually throw it at a larger distance. So 60 feet, 6 inches for a high school, college, professional player. If you're trying to develop a changeup, throw it at 63, 65 feet. That larger distance is going to demand the intent and throwing it through the target, which is the best way to get the changeup to kind of play off that ring finger and get the shape that you want it to. So that would be my advice to the kids who are maybe struggling with it or have scrapped it because they're uncomfortable, is try those things and see if you can develop a nasty change piece.
Yeah, that's good. That's good action steps. Maybe just one more thing I wanted to kind of build off of just a little bit more is you've talked about the importance of the changeup at the college level. And for recruiting, I mean, it's worth athletes. Let's say you're a junior, senior in high school, like it's worth you using this offseason to get better at that because it can become a differentiator in the recruiting process. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the more plus pitches you have the better. Most kids out of high school, like I said, they have two. They have two, and I wouldn't even call them plus. Two pitches that are serviceable and that can continue to be developed. Flashing a third one is it's a total separator because coaches not only know that you have it, but they know that they can build off of it. They can see inefficiencies with it. And they can say, hey, I know how to make that pitch better, or I think that's maybe something he should scrap, or just gives them more information. You not throwing it maybe puts a little bit of doubt in their mind of, hey, is he only going to throw two pitches? Is that going to be able to get outs? Can those two pitches get better? And if they can't, then this is the finished product that I'm looking at.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. All right. Appreciate that conversation on the changeup. Thank you much.
Yeah, thank you.